More to Marketing. Welcome to More to Marketing, the podcast that explores marketing, product, and everything business. I'm your host, Susan, and we're going to be learning all about the ultimate guide to influencer marketing by someone who's actually done this. Now, I'm going to introduce a true trailblazer in this space, and it's an Australian entity and person as well. I'm so excited about this. She's actually come from the adult industry and sex tech world, but that's not where she began. So we're going to actually talk to Lucy Banks. She's the managing director of Million Building Media, the Australia's first PR and talent management agency dedicated to supporting adult content creators. Now, as I mentioned, Lucy's journey has been very remarkable. She's first started off being a successful career woman in corporate banking and now has become a millionaire in OnlyFans. She has redefined what it means to be an entrepreneur and a mother of three, and she's over in Perth in Australia. Facing financial and personal challenges after a divorce, Lucy leveraged her authenticity and business savviness to build a thriving online presence, and it's earned her, at some points, a minimum of $3,000 a day and reaching that $1 million milestone within 4 years. So really, really honing all her skills and using what she had learnt to build this fantastic business. Beyond her success, Lucy is also passionate about empowering others in this industry. Through Million Billion Media, she provides creators with media representations all the way through to brand strategies and also mentorship, because she has been there and done this. And it's really trying to help break down that challenge of the stigma and open doors for financial independence. Now, you can also listen to her own podcast as well, Professional Attention Seekers, available on all great platforms, where she shares her candid conversations and practical advice, but also inspiring stories for women in business in general too. So I'd love to welcome Lucy today. Hey, Lucy.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan. Oh my, what an introduction. I want to put that on my podcast, my website or something. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it.
No, you made it easy. And we were talking before, I'm just so fascinated because I know skills are transferable, but you've done it in a space that was just open for creativity. And you're one of the first to do it. So I'd love to hear more about your journey, how you got to where you have, and how you've been helping others.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a corporate banking background. I got a job at one of Australia's major banks when I was 17, kind of accidentally. And then I got stuck there for 10 years, as you do in, a corporate job like that, climbed the ladder, and then got to a point where I was in the middle of a divorce. I had two very young kids at the time. I had a girlfriend doing this thing called OnlyFans. And from a commercial point of view, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to blow up. This is going to be huge. Now, I want to gonna preface that I'd never been to a strip club before. I got married at 22. I come from a very conservative, very religious family. So for me to walk away from my banking job to go do OnlyFans at the time, and this was pre-pandemic, so before OnlyFans was, a household name, it was wild. And people honestly thought, like, people were concerned for my mental health. They're like, she's lost the plot. This is not something Lucy would do. There's something wrong with her. Go save the kids. Like, and it's really, I went through a lot in the sense that I feel like I was a trailblazer with OnlyFans because there was not many people doing it at the time. So I had to work through a lot of stigma, a lot of judgment. And I always knew the reasons I was doing it. I knew it was because I wanted to be self-employed. I wanted a flexible job that worked around my kids. And that was my priority. So even though there's a lot of stigma and a lot of judgment, it was also very motivating. And I think for many entrepreneurs in many different industries, there's always people, particularly in Australia, there's always people that are going to bring you down and be like, are you sure you should quit your job? Are you sure you should do this?
That's for any job, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like tall poppy syndrome in Australia is so right. So I do like to talk about how even just being an OnlyFans creator back at that time, and then also when I started Million Billion Media, there was a lot of judgment, but I think those who can kind of capture those feelings and use it for motivation and be like, you know what, you're telling me I can't do something, or I shouldn't do something. I'm going to show you that I can. They're the people who sort of, come out the other side of that. And that's worked for me in a few different aspects of my life. So for those who are listening, who are, either at the beginning of a business journey, perhaps they're thinking about it, they're worried to take the leap. Yes, this is not a personal thing for you. You are going to get stigma and judgment, whether you're, doing OnlyFans or you're, starting something completely different. But it says more about the other person than it does about you. Don't let that stop you from living your dreams, so to speak.
Or even looking at celebrities, you've got them doing it. You've also got ones doing the foot one too, for people who
Yeah,
have foot fetishes. So there's all different ways and means to be involved. It doesn't have to be the most negative thing people are thinking of. Whoever the creator is in control about what they're wanting to put out there too.
exactly. And I think it's just the term OnlyFans that has this negative connotation to it. And we're having celebrities these days, like you mentioned the foot pics, like Lily Allen is on there selling foot pics. Nick Kyrgios is on OnlyFans. And people hear that word and they just assume that people are doing full blown porn. And they're not. They're putting content out there. So someone like, Nick Kyrgios, for instance, he's either going to be posting on like Instagram or his social media, or he can have a gateway, so a payment gateway for something like OnlyFans, where people can pay to access more in-depth knowledge, more Nick, more behind the scenes. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's very smart for influencers or someone who has a message to put a payment gateway there to say, like, yes, this is what I'm about, but if you want me one-on-one, you can pay for my knowledge. That is not different to having a website where you're purchasing a consultation or a Cameo. Like, you can go on Cameo and buy birthday messages from celebrities. This is a similar thing. And yes, of course, let's not pretend that there's not adult content on there, and that's the bulk of the creators and the bulk of the income. But again, these people are social media influencers. If you want to see more of them and they can monetize that, then that's not, there's this huge misconception that OnlyFans girls are like dumb or they can't do anything else. I'm like, no, these girls are smart. They know that they've got something that people want and they're monetizing it. Like, how great is that?
And they have control of it too. So it's not like they don't necessarily have to have a management team or a manager over them. Thinking about the old days when it used to be more in person, where they'd have that control and they would only get a percentage of it. You've now got people who can have full control and access of what they want to do, when and how.
Exactly. When I first started doing OnlyFans, it was very tame. I didn't have my face in it. I was really just selling photos of my cleavage, didn't even show anything explicit, which is so funny now that I think back at it. And then over time, I did more and more as I was comfortable. I didn't have, a manager or like, some OnlyFans pimp that was like, do this, do that. Like, I did it as I was comfortable and I charged accordingly. And there was constantly people were sending requests and be like, can you do a video doing this, doing that? And I was able to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Or yes, I will do it for this price. So there's a huge amount of empowerment. And I know I have arguments with people all the time. They're like, you can't say OnlyFans is empowering. And I'm like, how can you say that it's not when the creator is in full control of it? No one's pushing them. And I think this translates to not only the adult industry, but also like businesses and models and influencers who want to be doing things like you can have your paid subscription channels on Instagram now. People who are doing merch lines and things like that. You can you're not at the mercy of your audience. You're actually in control of your audience. So you can give them as much of yourself as you're comfortable with. And I think that's only a powerful thing. It is empowerment.
And it's also creating that loyalty, because you're able to actually create that real true following by people wanting to pay to be part of it. Like even Facebook has, you can give, I don't know what they call, credit stars, wherever it is. And people are on there, and there's famous celebrities doing that there to have lives, and then people can give them the chips or whatever they are. So it is everywhere. It's just smart people and business people are doing it in all different ways. And OnlyFans just happens to be one of the gateways.
Absolutely. And I think that OnlyFans really set the path for a lot of these other platforms further monetizing that closer relationship. Like in Facebook's got the stars now, the TikTok lives, the Instagram paid channels, and things like that. A lot of people have followed in the path of OnlyFans, and essentially it's the same business model. It's just that OnlyFans allows explicit content. Apart from that, it's all about that, like I said, the audience loyalty, and being able to be more relatable, more personal with the people that are following you.
Exactly. I think it'd be a really great time. Let's actually talk about what is influencer marketing for those people listening that might not be quite sure, because they're like, oh, that's a celebrity. But what really is influencer marketing?
Influencer marketing is essentially just modern day word of mouth. So these days, back in, let's say, the 90s, you might go to coffee with your mum friends, and you're talking about what's working for you, like the skincare product, blah blah blah. Influencer marketing is that on steroids. So these days we've got access to so many more people in so many different locations, and it's like let's just break it down for what it is. It is literally just online word of mouth.
I think because of like COVID made a huge difference, didn't it, for boundaries getting dropped down. And that's where it's probably taken off even more, where people couldn't go out to those traditional coffees with their mums and talk and go, hey, look, I'm using this. They were actually doing more of those online connections, searching the net and finding new communities.
Absolutely. COVID is, I would say, responsible for the the way that influencer marketing works today. So during those times, and depending on what your location is and what the rules were, but there's a lot of us that couldn't go out. So what are we doing? We're making sourdough. How do we make sourdough? We're looking it up on Instagram. We're finding other people that are doing sourdough. And then there's these like sourdough cults. There's like for me during COVID, I was on a little hobby farm with my kids, and there was a few of us families that just all stayed on this hobby farm, and we isolated together, and it was so fun. And we were looking up, we got a horse, and then we're looking up horse care, and now I follow all these horse people. I don't even have a horse anymore, but
I love it.
there's all these like activities that we had to do, homeschooling, and during that time that was where the shift kind of happened, because prior to that, influencer marketing was all very polished, very catalog, like very aspirational. People would follow someone and be like, oh my gosh, she has the perfect body, she has the perfect life, she has the perfect whatever. I'm going to follow her for inspiration. Whereas when COVID hit, we started seeing like the nitty gritty come out, and people doing these dances in the house because they were bored. They were starting new hobbies, new businesses, and we were able to sort of watch people break down the social media, break the social media glass, so to speak. Look, break that glass ceiling where it used to have to be so polished, whereas now you're better off being more, and I hate the word authentic because I feel like it's thrown around so much, but that's what people connect with these days. They tend to follow people who are more relatable as opposed to aspirational. And so I'm getting off topic, but going back to what you originally asked, I think COVID had a lot to do with that.
I agree. And it's, as you were saying, I think the rawness of the actual influences is making a difference, because now it's not aspirational, it's achievable.
Yes, absolutely. I really, like, from a business sense, I see a lot of on LinkedIn, this like building in public, this theory of like, hey, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to grow my business, or I'm going to do something new, and I'm actually going to share the behind the scenes. Whereas 5 years ago, if you were doing that, you were seen as unprofessional. Whereas now it's relatable, and I'm here for it. I think it is so important to show the vulnerability behind being a business owner, and not just a business owner. Even if you decide you're going to start crocheting, showing the journey, it builds that loyal following. And then, so let's use the crochet example for whatever. Say I'm going to start crocheting. I've got no idea what I'm doing. I take my followers on a journey with me. That's going to not only influence my current followers, they might be like, oh, Lucy's crocheting, maybe I could crochet. And then we go on that journey together. But it's also going to attract people that are already in the crocheting community, because they're like, somebody else is doing something that I'm into. And in 6 months down the track, or 12 months, I don't know anything about crocheting, but when I'm like a crocheting queen, I start putting out my own patterns and my own, Etsy digital folders or something. And I've built a community from day one who are along the journey with me. So whereas if I all of a sudden just started out and I was like, oh, by the way, I'm bringing out a crocheting pattern today, everyone's going to be like, what are you doing? That makes no sense. So this building in public and having the vulnerability to learn and develop online that's where it's at the moment. And that's where the traction is in terms of brands working with influencers. There's such a need for that stronger alignment than there was a few years ago.
I agree. And I've even seen people do this for like book covers. So, hey guys, this is on LinkedIn. Hey guys, I've got these 2 or 3 book covers. I'm not sure which one. Which one do you think? And then they do it once every week for 3 weeks until they get their final cover that they think more people are going to like the most.
Oh, that's fantastic. But I know if I saw that, it pulls me in. If I voted for one and then I see it on the shelves, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy that because I was a part of it. I got to vote for it. It builds that loyalty. You're right.
And this is where companies like Subway, who you could create your own sub and vote for it, or even all the chip companies, this whole pile of different ones that have done different flavors, vote for it, and then we'll make your flavor. Tapping into that, wanting you to actually be on the journey. You're investing yourself, you're investing your time. You've gone, I really want that. I'm now going to share it as well. So it's beyond just humans. The brands are doing it as well as their own entity, which is really interesting to watch and see over time where it has been to where it is now, where it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, anything to do with marketing, it works in cycles, it works in trends. I'm really enjoying this right now. For me personally, I think it is so much fun. I enjoy the closeness. I enjoy the personal, connection that we're having with brands and influencers. And I'm really interested to see how it'll develop in the next 5 to 10 years, and where marketing will be, but where does it go from here?
I completely agree. My one is nostalgia. I want to see
Yeah.
how far nostalgia can go until it breaks, and then the new cycle has to start.
Yeah. It's all like all cycle.
But one of the things that I find really interesting, you've been doing this for such a long time. How do you actually identify the right influencer for your brand or campaign? Because I'm sure there's lots of different factors behind the scenes that a normal business might not be aware of when they're looking for that right influencer.
So again, with the cycles and the trends, it's changed to what it was a few years ago, where they'd be like, okay, this person's got 1 million followers, I want to work with them. Back then, no one was looking into the metrics, no one was looking into the engagement. Whereas these days, you're better off, you can work with someone who has 1 million followers, or you can work with someone that has 10,000 followers. And there's every chance that one with 10,000 followers is going to get you a bigger return on your investment compared to the one that has 1 million followers. It's very selective now. You need to, let's go back to like this crocheting example. You're better off working with the crocheter who has 5,000 followers if you're selling a crochet product, compared to the fitness influencer that has 1 million followers. These days, it's all very intentional. It's all very niche, and the results they speak for themselves. People are getting stronger results because those audiences are so much more engaged.
And I think that's the key part there. It's the engagement. if you've got a million people, it doesn't mean you're going to be like someone else is going to appear on the feed. The feeds have got algorithms, everything behind them. Unless people are actually out there all the time commenting, liking, following, are you really going to do that all the time with one famous celebrity that may or may not endorse a certain product that you may or may not be interested? You're going to get a better hit rate if you go to where you know your audience is going to be around to influence the decisions or the lookalikes.
Absolutely. And the consumers are so much more informed and so much more aware these days. They know that they're being sold to. The day of them of consumers just buying anything that an influencer is selling is gone. You can't just put a post up and be like, use my name for a 10% discount. The conversion is not there. Whereas when people are invested in your journey and they see you doing something, it's it's just such a stronger conversion. And I have these conversations day in, day out where, for example, I probably shouldn't use the name of the specific company, but one of those companies that send you out like boxes of food every week. And they approached me like, we want to work with your influencers. And I had to say to them, I was like, look, I can give you a list of influencers that I think would be a good fit for you. None of my clients are going to be a good fit for you. And I don't want you working with them because you're not going to get the results. And I don't want my influencers promoting your product because it's going to dilute their messaging. It doesn't make sense for them to be promoting it. And all of a sudden, if you're following like an OnlyFans girl and she's promoting food preparation and she's not a fitness influencer, you're going to hit that unfollow button because that's not why you're following her. So it needs to be intentional. And yes, follower count does impact it, but it's not the biggest metric at the moment. It's about the engagement, and the niche. It has to be relevant.
Yeah, and if I go to your example there, my mind goes to the only way that would work with a food preparation service is if that girl or guy on OnlyFans, as part of their persona, did a lot of things in the kitchen for fun.
Yes.
That would make complete sense because then you've got the relevance, you've got the right audience, and they could have a bit of fun with it too. But if you're going to just go off to anybody else, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense for the brand or for the influencer. So it needs to be, the follower count doesn't really matter. And a lot of businesses and brands, and again, there's been a huge shift on this even in the last 2 years. It's been very significant where we used to, at one point, I hired a talent manager full time to approach brands to work with our influencers. And we ended up having to let her go because no brands would work with OnlyFans influencers. It was too risky. Where now I'm getting approached multiple times a week being like, we want to work with your influencers. But because their audience is so concentrated, it's so engaged, but it needs to be the right fit. So something like, food preparation, or if someone's like, oh, can your influencer sell, I don't know, like t-shirts or something? I'm like, okay, what does it have on it? Is it going to be relevant? Because I'm not going to have these influencers turn into walking billboards for things that aren't aligned, because people are going to lose followers. The brand's not going to get the conversion that they think they're going to get because they've got an engaged following. It still has to be relevant.
And I think that piece that you've just caught on there is the negative piece that can come with it. Not only do you lose followers, but lose credibility, lose your brand appeal. All that can happen to both parties. So it really needs to be the alignment for the right reasons for it to be successful.
Absolutely. And when you can get the right alignment, it is like chef's kiss. It makes so much sense. We've seen in the last couple of weeks, Girthmaster, who's an Australian OnlyFans creator, who's very well known for having a big appendage. And he's just done a campaign with Mingle, who does like seasoning and spices. And that never would have happened a few years ago. Whereas they've lent into, like, he's holding an eggplant and he's promoting their spices, and he's on like billboards, and it's so fun, but it makes sense, because Mingle as a brand is a little bit like cheeky
Cheeky fun, yeah.
yeah, so for them to be doing this, and then for Girthmaster to be working with a brand like this and holding an eggplant and being like, I can't remember, oh, it's like DTF, so which traditionally
Yeah.
stands for down to fuck, but now it's like down to flavor.
Yeah.
Perfect, love that.
Yeah.
So that's been in the headlines. It was so successful. It's such an obvious alignment. Whereas if he was promoting something like sneakers, would that make sense? No. Would it get engagement? No.
Exactly. I think that comes down to sharing some of your red flags that you've come across with the brands, particularly when trying to consider the right partnerships. Have you got any examples? Don't name names, but but
So
examples that you've seen or that you've stopped because you're like, whoa, that's not going to work.
yeah. So I've had situations where brands are approached and they want to work with influencers. I'm like, okay, this influencer will work with you. There's, this makes sense. But they micromanage and they do not give the influencer the control to promote the product. And I've had to go back and say, like, this is the whole reason you're working with an influencer. They know their audience, they know what works. We're not doing scripts. We're not doing, yes, there can be like a loose call to action because we want to do the right thing by you. We want to promote your product. We want this to be successful. But I won't have my clients reading scripts because it won't translate. So
not authentic, going back to that horrible word, but true
exactly.
word.
But yeah, but it's so true. Like if you're a brand or a business and you want to work with an influencer, yes, like the influencer and me as an agency, we want to do the right thing for you. This isn't about us getting paid for no reason. We want ongoing relationships. I want you to be like, oh my gosh, I love working with Million Billion because their clients get results. But you need to hand over the reins and let us do it our way, because that is what is going to get you results. So I think a lot of brands have this mentality of, no, we're paying you. You need to do it. We need to do what we want.
But traditional agency, yeah.
Yeah. But they need, and again, like you said, we're back to that word, authenticity. The girls are so good at what they do. You tell them to promote a product, they're going to sneak it into what they're doing, and that is what gets conversion. So a red flag is that micromanaging, and a lot of it's not intentional. A lot of it is just having that education of what converts. But I have turned down paid deals for our clients because I'm like, this isn't aligned. You need to go back and think about what your end goal is. Is it to get sales? Yes. Okay, well, let us help you get there and let us do it our way, because that's why you've approached us.
Exactly. I think this is good for us to talk about your onboarding process. How is onboarding with influencers different to any other kind of marketing campaign?
That's a really good question. So it's not dissimilar to my last answer. So when we sign influencers, and this is something that I've had to learn over time, it has to be, it's so important that we're on the same page. So I will say to them, like, you're coming to an agency because we are going to help you grow. What you're doing at the moment, obviously it is not working, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation. We work on, so say, someone comes to me and they're like, right, we want to work together. We reverse engineer the process. So I'm like, okay, if they're an OnlyFans creator, for instance, what do you want to be doing? What's your end goal? What's your exit strategy? Because you're not going to want to do OnlyFans forever. You do not age out of OnlyFans. There are women in their 50s and their 60s, even their 60s, making really good money on OnlyFans. However, you age, not age out of it, but you mentally burn out. You can't do it for 20 years. Yes, there's some exceptions, but generally you have a 3 to 5 window of doing OnlyFans. So how are we going to leverage that to set you up long term? So if they want to be an influencer, an Instagram influencer, okay, what's your niche at the moment? Are you posting fitness videos and stuff? Maybe we can lean into that. So it's about, and a lot of them are like, no, I'll do OnlyFans forever. And I'm like, okay, but what if you don't? Like, let's just pretend you don't. We need to have something in place. So yeah, when we're onboarding them, it's not just about, okay, let's get you into the news, let's get you brand deals. We need to sort of figure out what they're going to do long term and then reverse engineer it, because otherwise, if I'm promoting them as like, this girl who is, really promiscuous or something, people get bored of that very, very quickly, and then she's lost her audience. So it's about identifying
There's
that
no
niche.
niche there.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas the clients we work with who listen to us and they're like, okay, I see what you're going, there needs to be that trust as well. So I will only work with clients who will listen to us, which I know sounds really obvious, but I don't want to be in a situation where people have come on board and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, and they're like, no, we don't want to do that. It's a partnership, it goes two ways. But if you're going to hire a professional and then not take their advice, what are we doing here? You're banging our heads together for no reason. So I'm very selective about who we work with. I only, and maybe this sounds unprofessional, but I only work with people that I like, because
Well, you've got to have fun with them, don't you?
yeah, exactly. And if I'm dreading getting on a phone call with you because we don't get along, I'm not the right agency for you.
Mm.
We, our staff are so aligned and they're so passionate about helping these not just women but creators and businesses in the adult industry grow. Like, we put so much into our clients, so there needs to be that two-way mutual respect. And it works. It's just human nature. The more, if you like someone, you go and do a better job for them. So, and that's what I want. Like, and yeah, I don't think it's unprofessional. I think it's smart to be like, I know that the better we all get along, the more
It's for
productive we're going to
success.
be. Yeah, exactly. And it works time and time again. So,
I think that's
yeah.
the key there is during the onboarding process, you get that clarity on the page for joint success.
Yes. So we do, a lot of people in this space haven't worked with a PR agency or a marketing agency before. So it's our responsibility to do a lot of education. We need to tell them, like, look, this is your realistic timeline to get results. This is realistically what you can expect for brand deals. This is where we want to take you. So a huge part of our onboarding process is not only ascertaining if they're the right fit for us, but also the education piece about what this is going to look like and managing their expectations.
Mm. I think that's key. And for me, it probably brings up another question of curiosity I have for you is how do you handle those situations with the influencer where it might be the content or the behavior it kind of starts to contradict each other?
So we have situations where, I mean, humans are multifaceted, right? And especially in the OnlyFans space, you're viewed as you're hot, you're sexy, you're taking care of whatever niche you cover. But then we're also positioning people as business as businesses, as empires. So
They're their own
it's
product or service, yeah.
exactly. So it's a really tricky balance of, if you want to, after your OnlyFans career, say you want to go and be a work in media, you want to do commentating at the footy, for instance. I can't have you going out and being, doing scandalous stunts and saying like, oh, I'm going to, take my clothes off at the shops or something like that. Like, it needs to be aligned. If you want to go take your clothes off at the shops and be in the media for it, by all means, like, I can pitch that for you. It's not going to land. I don't think it's going to be picked up, and you can say goodbye to your media career. That's not going to happen. But we can do that. So it's a matter of having that conversation with them, being like, okay, yes, you can be multifaceted. Yes, you want to do all these different things, but what's your end goal? We need to keep going back to that end goal and think of what you want to do. Some people just want to exit and disappear. They want to go have a family, go settle down. So, okay, great. How are we going to make sure you've got passive income that lasts beyond then? Are we looking at property? Are we looking at investments? Do you want to be like an angel investor in another business where you're getting dividends and you have to do nothing? What are we doing? But it always has to come back to that end goal of, okay, I know you want to do all these different things. Is that contributing to that? And if it's not, we need to ask the question, should we be doing that?
Well, it comes down to just OnlyFans is a career for these people. So everyone has the next level in their career. So if I use something that's probably easy to understand, you want to go into politics. If you're going to start off as a local council member and you want to go to eventually state and federal, you've got to make sure you're pretty clean for people to want you to then hire you. So it's the same premise for anyone doing OnlyFans as well. If you've got a certain goal in mind, what type of people do they want in those roles? Because depending on how much of a public figure they are, they represent that brand. So the Channel 9s, 10s, 7s, ABCs are going to want a certain type of background that comes with that person from their career. So you need to make smart decisions in your career and also your personal life to not affect your career.
Yes, absolutely. And it can be done. There are OnlyFans creators who have gone on and had careers in other industries, or they're still doing OnlyFans, but they're being influencers as well. So they're getting paid brand deals and things because they have been careful about their brand and they've made themselves, quote unquote, clean for brands to work with.
And now it's an exciting time for them, which is why you have such a successful agency, because there are people out there and it's now the time for the influencer connections. I don't like to necessarily call it marketing because I think it's more of a connection piece, it's a partnership. And
Yes.
depending on how it grows and builds with the audience and that individual, depends on what road it travels down. But again, I 100% understand why you look at the end game to start with, because you want them to be successful. You want them to have that future career. Like you see so many, unfortunately, it's like soccer, footy, rugby players who start off, but I don't think anyone mentors them of what the future could look like. And that's what you're doing. You're mentoring them so that they can see that, yeah, they've got it in their head right now. This is forever. I'm always going to be on OnlyFans. But that might not be it. There's so many more opportunities out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people that do OnlyFans are they have that entrepreneurial mindset, and that's why they do what they do because they're business owners. And a lot of people who are business owners, they reach a point in their business and they're like, okay, I've done this. What's my next challenge? I'm bored of it now. So they'll go and start another business, or they'll grow in a way. They'll take that next level up. So that's what we need to think of. We need to think of what, when we get to that stage, and I mean, everyone's different. There are exceptions, but in my experience, it's about that 3 to 5 year mark where they're like, okay, what now? And we need to make sure that when they get to that point, they've got options.
Exactly. Now, one of the things I'd love to hear from you, because you've been doing this for such a long time, pre-COVID, then during the mad rush, and now post with everything selling in and the new world, I suppose. What emerging trends have you seen really shaping influencer marketing and partnerships and connections right now? And it doesn't have to be in your particular space of the adult area. It could be in creator economy space as well.
I really love the how micro influencers have the floor right now. Brands have identified, and we touched on this briefly before, brands have identified that they're getting better engagement and better results from the smaller influencers. And it's these micro influencers that are really dominating in the UGC space, where they're creating content and it's new and it's fresh, and people, even when it is a very obvious sell, like, oh hi, like I'm Lucy Banks, this is my Frank Green water bottle, I'm going to go for a walk today. But if I was like, yeah, if I had 1 million followers, automatically people are like, she's working for Frank Green, she's selling it. Whereas
Yep.
when they're smaller, people tend to be like, oh, like that's a cute water bottle, because they don't
Yeah.
feel sold to.
She
So
must support that. She really likes it. She must really love that color.
yes, yeah, exactly. And I think it is such an exciting time for those people who perhaps missed the wave, or they didn't have the same success as some bigger influencers. Now is such a good time that they're getting their moment, that this is their spotlight, and I love that. also in terms of how things have changed, I love collaborations. I love partnerships. I love seeing different brands and different influencers working together. I think it is because it's social media. It is by definition social. So when I see someone who's, perhaps I don't know, in one industry and they're going out for lunch with someone who's in a different industry, but they're both influencers and they're like having, a glass of wine together, that that makes me interested. I'm like, what are they up to? And then they end up bringing out a product, but I saw that they had lunch together 6 months prior, and I'm like, I love seeing that. I follow I hope I'm going to pronounce her name right, Jess Rufus, who is all about collaborations and partnerships. She actually has a course, and you can buy a consultation with her and be like, hey, this is my business. Who should I partner with? Who should I collaborate with? And I just think that is so it's so fun. And it not only exposes you to another audience, but it's bringing in, it's relatable to people. Just being like, yeah, so for me, like Million Billion Media, like if I went and collaborated with, I don't know, I'm just looking around my office now. If I collaborated with a fly spray brand, like people would be like, what is going on? But then I'm like, no, like fly spray, like we're getting rid of like trolls or like people who are like mean in the comments or I don't something. And like I'm just talking on the fly here. Get it? Fly. But
I do.
And we mentioned before about like the Girthmaster collaboration. Like I think back 5 years ago, people would be like, no, this makes no sense. Whereas now it's fun, it's exciting, it's what's happening next. There's been a shift in terms of collaborations, and yeah, I'm here for it.
I love it. And the other piece I love about the collabs, and we did speak about it earlier, was nostalgia, bringing that into it too, so that you can hit the new audience coming through that hasn't experienced it. Then you've got the older audience who has and is happy to relive part of it. And I think they're brilliant collabs and partnerships when done right, because that brings it about.
Yeah, I love seeing a lot of these like Cotton On do it really, really well, where they're bringing back those brands that were big, back in the 90s. So the people that are parents now, you can go and buy like Care Bears on a t-shirt or Power Rangers
of the universe for us.
yeah. See? But like, as parents, as people who are like, that was our childhood, we buy it because we're like, oh my gosh, this is so, I have to buy this. And then for the younger generation, it's exciting because they haven't experienced it before. Yeah, this is so funny. The other day, I bought a Von Dutch hat because I wanted a Von Dutch hat when I was 13, and there's no way my dad was going to spend $100 on a hat. But now I'm an adult, so I can go buy my $100 hat. But now I'm too embarrassed to wear it because there's all these 21-year-olds that are wearing it, because it's like, it's exciting for them, because fashion works in cycles. So what was popular in the 90s is fashionable again now. So it works on so many different levels, but it is, and I remember, back when I was a teenager, there was a stage where like fluoro was back because it was like the 80s, and I mean, let's hope we never go back there again, but
not all of the 80s, maybe some of the music.
Music, bring back the music. But I agree, like I love these collaborations that are bringing out that nostalgic side of us. I think it's very human and it's very wholesome.
I love it. Now, I have also loved our conversation today, and I have one final question I always ask everybody. You can cheat, but what brand, any brand in the world, best represents you and why?
I love that question. That is so fun. If there was a brand that represented me as a person, I would love to say Skims. And the reason I say Skims is because it is a bit, it's sexy. It's so, like, not saying like, oh, I'm sexy, but like, it is a bit like adult. It is a bit, like pushes boundaries, but it is also so incredibly commercial. You know that all of their collaborations are very, very thought out. They're very intentional. Um, but they're also very PRable as well. Like Skims are everywhere. They do a lot of really fun collaborations. They work with influencers that make sense for them, but also some that don't make sense for them, obviously. But then, you're like, okay, I can see the deeper meaning behind this. Yeah, that actually does make sense. So if I was a brand, I would be Skims.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I'm going to do a quick wrap up and then I'll ask you if I've missed anything. So let's go.
Okay.
So today we're talking all about influencer marketing. And for me, it's more about the connection piece. But if we go true back to what an influencer marketing is, it's really just modern day word of mouth. And I love Lucy's phrase there because it is. It's about sharing, being authentic, relatable, approachable, aspirational, and really also seeing a bit of vulnerability there too for the influencer that is part of sharing their marketing out there in the world. And one of the most successful ways to do that, if you haven't already started or if you're already doing it and you want to do it better, is build it in the public slowly over time with whatever story you're creating so that they can be part of, and when I say they, I mean your audience, they can actually be part of the experience on what you're going through, how you're approaching it, your failures, your successes, your pivots, the changes, all of that together, because that will bring more authentic relationship connections to each other. Because really, being an influencer, you're wanting loyalty, you're wanting people to follow you for those right reasons, not trolls. We don't want trolls. We want people who want to connect with you authentically. And that's where all these different channels have the opportunity for paid subscriptions to get that deeper, more meaningful connection that might not be out in the public. And there's all different channels that do that. It's not just OnlyFans. You've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got so many different ones out there. So it's about really connecting with that influencer in a way that is more meaningful and really does build out that almost relationship. Could also be a friendship in some ways if you're not a creepy stalker. Please don't be a creepy stalker. But again, influencers doing it right, it's about that engagement, being selective, intentional, relevant, finding your niche for your audience. Because let's face it, influencers need, like a product or service, they need to have a value proposition. So what is that niche that sets you apart? How are you being different out there in the world so people will come and want to follow you and be loyal to you? And ultimately, hopefully, pay for your subscription as well. And this is where, when you're going out and connecting with brands that might want to have you as an influencer, you have to have that right alignment. Otherwise, there's going to be brand detrimental damage done to both of you. So this is where, if you are looking for an influencer out there for your brand, you need to actually understand the influencer world. It isn't like a traditional brief where you say, this is the script, this is how you do it this way, that way, this is the screens. No, influencers are there because of their creativity, because they have a way of doing things their way that people love and want to see more of. And this is where micromanagement doesn't work. Yes, you can give them some tips on this is what we're wanting to do, this is what we're wanting to achieve, but give them the free reign, because that's what you've got them there for. And if you need examples, ask for some examples they've done in the past, then you'll understand. Now, if you are wanting to go into the influencer world and work with an agency, such as the one we've got today, Million Billion Media, in those first conversations, you really need to understand yourself in the onboarding process. And it's not about, what am I going to do this year? How much money do I make this year? No, it's about looking at, what do I want to do at the end? What is my end game? What is my exit strategy? Because that's what we've got to reverse engineer to be part of. What's the niche? Why am I wanting to do this? What's my value proposition? Why do I want to grow? What's the trust here? I'm going to build all of this with my agency. And that's where Million Billion Media comes in, because you have an agency help you with this, because they educate you. They've been there, done that with many, many, many other people. You don't know all of this. And this is why agencies help you with that knowledge and help you get there and make you accountable too, and help you know that this is how to get there the right way or a better way. And they're going to be in it together with you and help you with your next steps. Now, one of the biggest things that's happening at the moment that's definitely changing things is it's not about the amount of followers, it's your quality of connections with followers. And this is where micro influencers are making such a difference now, particularly in the user generated space where it is a bit more raw. It is people just running around with their phones, taking the content and not polishing it up, because that's what people want now. Right now, people are wanting real connections. And that's why micro influencers are doing great. And that's why the collabs and partnerships are going really well down this path. But if I'm going to leave you with one last thing on influencer marketing, it's all about social. Now, influencer marketing is on social media. Yes, there's a bit of it above the line, but it is social. And social is all about socialization and connections. So you've got to make sure that if you want to get into this industry, that you understand that people are going to want to watch you and look at you. You have to be social. You can't always hide. Yes, you can have a different persona, but that's something different. But also, you've just got to make sure that you have something that is different and people want to be a part of. How did I go, Lucy? What do I need to add in there? Do tell me.
You have summed that up perfectly. I'm really impressed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time. Now, everybody, don't forget you can also listen to Lucy on her podcast, Professional Attention Seekers. Do follow her as well. And if you need any help in this space, you also know that Million Billion Media will be able to help you. Now, everyone else, for me, make sure you follow More to Marketing to listen to some more future fabulous guests. More to Marketing.